Hello there, BookTube. My name is Daniel. Welcome back to my channel, Guilty Feet. Do. I've got no rhythm. And today I'm going to do a Friday Reads. Haven't done one of these for a while. I've been doing sort of standalone reviews of books. I wanted to play with the form a little bit and see if that was of interest. I guess the newer ones did better than sort of backlist. And then last week I did this clickbaity title for a video about the book A Long List, and that sort of got viewed more times than anything else I've ever done, so that was weird. But today I'll just sort of go through the stuff that I've read in the last week. It's Thursday night as I'm doing this, so I'm going to upload this and it'll go out sort of Friday morning US time. I guess I'll put it out Friday afternoon by the time I've uploaded it. Friday's big day because they are releasing, I think, all episodes. I don't know whether it's 8 or 10 episodes of The Sandman on Netflix. Long awaited, big fan of The Sandman. Read probably not when it first came out, but got into it maybe 50 issues in, and then only when the trade paperback started coming out, I go back and read Sandman all the way from the beginning. And really excited to see this. The one clip that I've seen is a perfect recreation of the scene from issue 8, The Sound of Her Wings, when we first meet Sandman's older sister, Death. And there's a scene where she comes to collect a soul, and as the man dies, he says, "Just before I go," and then he says, "Shema Israel," and it's a panel in a comic book that has reduced me to tears many times. Just sometimes I'll just cathartically go and read that chapter, and seeing it recreated in live action was equally moving. So I'm looking forward to that. I guess that'll be the first or the second episode. I don't know when Death will come in. Probably not the first episode, which I think will be about Sandman's capture and the consequence of that. Anyway, enough talk about that. That'll be my TV viewing. Hopefully get 1 or 2 episodes in. If it comes out enough time on Friday, I'll get 1 or 2 episodes in before Shabbat comes in. Okay, here's what I've been reading in the last week, starting with Maud Martha, a novel by Gwendolyn Brooks. Coincidentally, Britta Boller read this last week and included it in her views of tops and flops, and did a fantastic review of it. I'll cover probably some of the same ground. Gwendolyn Brooks was the first black person of man or woman to win a Pulitzer Prize. She was a poet. This is the only novel that she wrote, and it's a novel in as much as it's a collection of tiny vignettes, some 1 or 2 pages long, from the life of Maud Martha, starting from when she is a young child to through her marriage at a young age, and her first child, and early life and marriage into her mid-20s, not long. Each one is a perfect little snapshot, and just beautifully crafted, so spare and delicate, and clearly the work of a poet working in prose. So in some ways, what we compare this to, something like Olive Kitteridge, in as much as we're seeing little snapshots of a life. This is told linearly. Olive Kitteridge, if I remember, jumps backwards and forwards in time. I think possibly the thing this most reminded me of was the Spoon River anthology by Edgar Lee Masters, which I believe I got that right, which I only read for the first time like 3 or 4 years ago. If you don't know the Spoon River anthology, it's a remarkable work. It is epitaphs for a bunch of people who'd all died in one town, and epitaphs. It's stories about each of the grave markers, and we find out a little bit about a life and lived, and sometimes the lives cross over with other stories, and sometimes they are just uniquely captured, and it is just a fantastic transcendent work of prose poetry, and I think this is similarly magical. Each life in itself is so ordinary, but it is a celebration of the ordinary, that finding the magic in the mundane, and that's what we have with Maud Martha. She's not necessarily a significant person, except in her own life. She is of significance. Her experiences as a black child, and as a black young woman, and as a black woman growing up are significant because they are hers. The experiences are hers, and she is a fully realized human being with all the wants and desires and aspirations of any human being. It's so beautiful in its ordinariness. It is such a celebration of a life and a truly remarkable work. This came to me because it was mentioned in Backlisted podcast. I'm sure I've spoken about it before. Look it up if you like books. Backlisted is one of the great podcasts. And this has just been published for the first time in the UK. Faber and Faber put it out in the UK. So this is a 50 books, 53, 54 years old. And Britta Buller had the Faber edition, and I ordered this from the States because I had some vouchers to spend over there, and they sent it to me all the way here. A short, easy to read book, 170 odd pages, with each page only filled up to 2/3, but just a really outstanding work. I'd love to know if more people. I know Kim at Middle of the Book March. I saw when I put it into Goodreads. I saw she'd read this a few years ago. I'd love to know if anyone else has read this, because I can't believe I had never heard of Gwendolyn Brooks until a month ago. This is outstanding. Highly recommended. Maud Martha, Gwendolyn Brooks. As is my wont, after something like that, I went to a different direction. Let's say this is Batman and Robin. This is written by Peter J. Tomasi and art by Patrick Gleason. I wasn't familiar with either of these creators, and this is a series. This is when the New 52 started. This was a relaunch of many of the characters, and this was a new comic. This is issues 1 through 8 of Batman and Robin from the New 52, which is, I guess, 2011, 2012, around then. The Robin in this instance is Damian Wayne. That is Bruce's biological son. Damian Wayne, whose mother is Talia al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul's daughter. She and Batman were once lovers, and there are different stories about how that came about. The original coupling took place in an out of continuity book called Son of the Demon, and then at different points it's come into continuity. Damian Wayne, the child of this coupling, is now 10 years old. He was brought up by Talia al Ghul and by the League of Assassins, so he was trained from a very young age in lots of different ways to murder people. And at age 10 he's met his father, the detective Bruce Wayne, Batman, and is now training, and is now the new Robin, and is training with Batman. And it's about their relationship. It's about legacy. It's about parenting. This is a pretty solid collection, pretty solid story. They're an old acquaintance of Batman who we've never met before, so a new acquaintance, but this is part of his history. Someone who Bruce Wayne trained with when he was becoming Batman comes and tries to turn Damian back to the dark side and say, why do you want to operate with all the restraints of the Batman and not kill anybody when what you really want to do is kill people? And it's about saving Damian's soul. It's about choosing the path of vengeance and murder. And the question always asked of Batman is, if you had killed Joker the first time, he would not have been able to kill all the people he did when you just locked him up and he escaped again. And this is a perennial argument that is visited over and over again, and Batman always has sworn not to kill, because that would make him as bad as the supervillains he faces. But then what good is he doing if he doesn't? And I think this skirts closer to the line than I'm used to. I liked it when Batman never killed anybody, and I was okay with sticking Joker in prison every single time, and then he breaks out and robs a candy store or something like that. I was good with those days. When he started murdering and mutilating people, then I guess there's a real question: why does the vigilante not do the job properly? I still am not that keen on murder, but I thought this was actually a better story. Lots of things have happened to Damian since this happened. I think he's died and been resurrected and all sorts of things. But this was an introduction. I haven't been following the story for the last 20 years, so this was pretty good. Batman and Robin, I think the series is called. This is 1 through 8. Born to Kill is the subtitle of this volume 1 in this series. Pretty good. After that, I had this beautiful little novella, Cold Enough for Snow, by Jessica Orr, AU. I'm guessing, I don't know. This is not the Fitzcarraldo edition. In the UK, this is published by Fitzcarraldo. This, again, I picked this up from America. It's by New Directions. A tiny little novella, 99 pages, 95 pages, where almost nothing happens. But it's just exquisite. This is a mother and daughter traveling to Japan. I think I'm not sure if it's. I mean, the author Jessica Orr is Australian, so I'm guessing. I can't remember if we know that the daughter lives in Australia and the mother lives in Australia, and they've decided to travel together or meet in Japan. And the mother is originally from Hong Kong, and they spend time in Japan, traveling to different shrines, museums, find little places to stay. Then the daughter goes off on her own for a day hiking and comes back and has some hot soup with her mother. And that's pretty much it plot-wise. Something, not much more is going on than that, but it's an exquisite exploration of one's inner life, and then working out and coming to the realization that one's parent also has an inner life and thoughts and fears and memories and desires and dissatisfactions and satisfactions, and it's just an exquisitely gentle, delicate and gorgeous and consumable in one sitting work of art. I very much enjoyed Cold Enough for Snow. I can't imagine how you would not. It's so simple and accessible and beautifully crafted, and almost nothing happens. Cold Enough Snow, Jessica Orr. After that, did some non-fiction. People love dead Jews. It's a thing. So before there's Dara Horn. Before I read this, I thought this might be like a counterpoint to David Baddiel's Jews Don't Count, which I read last year, and I was quite looking forward to this. It's not that. This is a series of essays, many of which have been published elsewhere. Dara Horn is principally a novelist, but she's also a lecturer in literature, I believe. And these are essays that she's written and published in all sorts of places. And she talks about her exhaustion at being asked to write articles each time there's another attack on a synagogue or an act of anti-Semitic violence perpetrated somewhere, and that she's called upon as a Jewish writer, as someone who's written about these things before, to pop up again and say, yes, give some context and explain how this makes Jews feel. Some of these essays were tremendously strong. There's a part at the beginning about Anne Frank, I think, which she describes as everyone's second favorite dead Jew. And there's a lot here. So there's some overlap between Baddiel's book about Jews Don't Count, because here we're talking about the way people respond to dead Jews, martyred Jews. The story of the Holocaust is retold, Anne Frank's story, stories of other there's fictional Jews show up here, and the way that the Jew is related to in those fixed situations, in those easily well, yes, the Jew is the martyr, the Jew is the victim, the Jew is not actually a real person who has live fears, concerns. We only talk about all the Jews that died, all the Jews that appear in fiction somewhere. There's some great essays in here. One essay about a character who I had never heard of, a guy called Varian Fry, who is one of the righteous Gentiles, a man who was responsible for saving many Jews in occupied France, and whose life was kind of turned upside down as a result. And many of the Jews who he saved ignored him after the war, and there's a sort of description of him as an oddbod and the reaction to the people whose lives he literally saved, and a fascinating story that deserves to be told. I think there is was a film made of his life, but Dara Horn goes to meet a man who has made it his life mission to capture all the information about this chap Varian Fry and record it and try and get a documentary made. And some other essays in here great. There's a coruscating essay about Shylock, And I've read over the years many essays about Shylock, whether this is an anti-Semitic representation, whether this is a sympathetic representation, hath a Jew not eyes, whatever, etc. And she comes down very heavily, I believe, on the side that it's hugely anti-Semitic work that she cannot enjoy. But her son, they play it together. It comes up in conversation with her 10-year-old son. He says, "Oh, I want to hear that. I want to see that," and they listen to it on audio. A recording of The Merchant of Venice, and so she sees it afresh through her son's eyes, who's hearing this story for the first time, and understanding what it means to extract a pound of flesh. So great. I thought great essays. Really enjoyed this. Wasn't quite, I guess, what I was expecting, but the essays were super strong. People Love Dead Jews by Dara Horn. And that takes me to the end of the week. And I will be reading this weekend, gone back to Willa Cather. I'm a late discoverer of Willa Cather. I only started reading her in the last couple of years. And this is the next off the block. This is Death Comes for the Archbishop. The books that I've read so far, My Antonia and Pioneers, have just been sources of deep joy. I wish I had discovered Willa Cather 30 years ago, but the joy now is I get to read all the books that I haven't read, and this is the one I'm currently reading, Death Comes for the Archbishop, and that is my lot. Hope you're having a great weekend. Let me know if you're going to watch The Sandman, or if you've seen it, if you started watching it. I get it's not really appropriate for I'm not going to talk about a TV show on the channel about books, but it's probably the bookish thing that I'm most excited about this week, and lots of reading to do. I don't know what I'll do after Death Comes the Archbishop, but I have a few novels lined up as well. Take care. God bless. Bye.